We are in the dead period of the NFL between the Super Bowl and Combine, and yesterday we broke down quarterback rankings 6 through 10, and today we will finish with rankings 1 through 5. There's really no need for a longer introduction as we're here for the rankings, so without further ado, let's start today's video with number 5, and that is recent Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford. During Stafford's years in Detroit, there were always fans that would always lurk in the top 10 quarterback discussions, and some even in the top 7 or 8 or so, and say, well, look, if Matt was not on the Lions, he would be a very good player. He already is a very good player, just more so people would know about it, and we would truly get to see what he was capable of. And I feel like this is worth noting when referencing those said fans, as it's not limited to just Detroit Lions fans, as long before the Super Bowl was even played, it is pretty well versed that Matt Stafford has stans, and credit to those people, you know who you are. The Matt Stafford fan base are some of the most loyal NFL fans there are, and are generally a good group of people to have a football discussion with. But in Stafford's first year away from the Motor City, and under not only a good head coach, but a great offensive mind in Sean McVay, all the Rams did was win a Super Bowl. And in the process of that, Stafford threw for over 40 touchdowns for nearly 5,000 yards and helped Cooper Kupp achieve numbers and results of what were not previously thought possible. Also, by the way, all the credit goes to Cooper for making those said plays, as he did put up what he put up in 2021. That does not happen by accident. There were a lot of concerns heading into the 2021 season about Stafford and whether or not he would be able to win a big game or two, much less 4 in a row, and he did all of that and then some. And sure, there were certainly trying moments for the Rams in 2021, like when they lost 3 in a row and one on Monday night in particular against the 49ers, in a game where Stafford simply did not look good as they lost by 21 points and Matt threw 2 interceptions. With Matt Stafford, I really do feel like there is a lot of variation in where he ranks as a quarterback, because some want to put him up with the elite of elite while others try and downplay the Super Bowl run because of a Cardinals team that was not good, a depleted Bucs team, and either saying they were due to win one against the 49ers or allude to the dropped interception in the second half of the NFC Championship game. Well, all of that is over with, and Matt Stafford is now a Super Bowl champion, and a player who went from the outhouse to the penthouse, and a player who, after the 2021 NFL season, ranks as the 5th best NFL quarterback. Into the final 4 we go to discuss Justin Herbert. Since Justin has entered the league, all he's done is throw for 69 touchdown passes, nice, throw for over 9,300 yards, including a 5,000-yard year in 2021, and transitioned the Chargers from the Phil Rivers era to now the Justin Herbert era. Sure, Justin Herbert in his own rights has turned the ball over a decent amount, as he had 15 interceptions in 2021, but so did Matt Stafford, who had 17 interceptions, and even Joe Burrow, for that matter, who had 14 interceptions, and spoiler, even a player we're going to discuss later who had 15 in his own rights in Josh Allen. And the reason I bring the interception part up with not just Herbert, but why I lump all of these guys in with this, is you get accustomed to seeing someone like Aaron Rodgers, who's had back-to-back years with over 35 touchdown passes in each year, and less than 5 interceptions in each year, and that's absolutely insane. Like, that's so far and away beyond normal to have that type of efficiency throwing the football that I feel like some people get kind of discouraged seeing, more normal stat lines, if you will, of quarterbacks having 10 interceptions or more while throwing for 35 passing touchdowns. But Herbert has been a very, very good quarterback over the first 2 years of his career, and that's really putting it mildly. And to give you an idea of how much the Chargers depend on his production week in and week out, there were only 5 games in all of 2021 where Herbert didn't throw for at least 2 passing touchdowns, and the Chargers' record in those said games were 1-4, with their only win coming against the then Washington football team. With Herbert, I think there is serious potential for him to, in some ways, kind of get forgotten about because of the Allens, the Mahomes, the Burrow taking over the entire city of Cincinnati, and then, of course, Lamar and his fans. But Herbert is an uber-talented quarterback and will be for some time. He makes tough throws consistently and will be, barring injury, of course, a constant among league leaders for the next decade in every major passing statistic. Now, having arrived to the top 3 quarterbacks, this is where things get especially tough, but at 3 we have Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. I alluded to this yesterday, and I really try and reserve the term unicorn for a very, very select group of players, and Josh is one of these said players. Bills fans especially will know where I'm going with this. Think of the pre-Josh Allen era, But imagine waking up knowing who your quarterback is for the next, we'll say 10 to 12 years, and knowing you more than likely have a Super Bowl title or two coming your way, and every year you will be competing for a Lombardi trophy. That's where the Bills Mafia is currently, and good for them, might I add, because they had some rough years to say the least. But Josh Allen is as talented as they come, as he's had back-to-back 35-plus passing touchdown seasons, and that's not even including what he can do on the ground, which is another thing in itself. He had a career high in rushing yards this year with over 750 rushing yards for Josh Allen, and how he goes is how Buffalo goes. And I love mentioning this when discussing Josh because it's not often you can say it, but it's rare when you have a quarterback whose personality matches the city's, and that's another reason why Allen is so loved in Western New York. And even with him running the football a total of 122 times this past year, and over 100 in each of 2019 and 2020, I don't worry with him running the football because of how big he is. He's 6'5", 240 and has wheels, and not only does he have wheels, but he has an enormous amount of strength to go with that. Defensive Player of the Year TJ Watt, for comparison, is listed at 6'4", 251 pounds, for reference, and he's in the trenches a lot more than Josh Allen is. The phrase, "the sky is the limit," is used a lot of the time, like whenever there's a good draft prospect like a Chase Young or Trevor Lawrence. We often use the term generational, but the ceiling for Josh is as truly as high as he wants it to be. And when you watch players play, you can see flaws in their game, but with Josh, what flaws does he have? I mean, at times he can be a bit of a streaky passer, but the peaks are, I'm not exaggerating here, some of the highest you'll see in NFL history. And that's not to say he's an all-time great, but it's to say some of the plays he makes are flat-out absurd. The only thing on Josh's resume that we all expect to change is when, not if, he gets that Super Bowl ring. And I can't wait for when he does, but for today's video, Josh comes in at number 3. Patrick Mahomes is up next, and I'd have him at number 1 if he didn't have a 26.3 passer rating and an interception in the Pro Bowl. I'm kidding, of course, but Patrick set the tone back in 2018 when he had the infamous 5,000-yard, 50-touchdown season, and he hasn't failed even the most wild expectations since. He's led the Chiefs to 4 straight AFC Championship games, won a Super Bowl, and has done all of this with the pressure from the media and fans only increasing. For every young quarterback we have in the NFL right now, he is the standard of who you look up to and who teams in the AFC asks themselves, can we beat Patrick and the Chiefs? The Bengals did that this year, and twice at that, and congratulations to them, but it had been going on 3 years since a team had beaten the Chiefs in the AFC when it mattered most, and the only team to do it prior to Cincy was Tom and the Patriots, who, like Patrick this year, needed the luck of a coin to help them secure a playoff win. And like with Josh Allen, you ask the same question for Patrick. What are his flaws in his game? Is it really a flaw that Patrick can't run a 4.3 like Lamar would, a 4.3 40 that is, like Lamar Jackson probably would, or that Patrick gets a little too aggressive sometimes trying to make a big play? I don't think it is, because it very, very rarely costs the Chiefs in the long run. And even if you want to say that, it goes back to the Josh Allen comment I said earlier. You're nitpicking. I am very much looking forward to Chiefs-Bills this year between Patrick and Josh, and I really hope we have that for several years after this year as well. For today's video, though, we have Patrick Mahomes at number 2. Number 1 is Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers is a 4-time league MVP and is the current 2-time defending NFL MVP. He has thrown for an outstanding 85 touchdowns to 9 interceptions over the past 2 years, and while Peyton Manning had an otherworldly 2-year span with Denver where he threw 94 touchdowns in 2 years, he had 25 interceptions, whereas Rodgers has just 9 over the past 2 years. And by the way, that interception comparison from Peyton to Rodgers isn't to downplay what Peyton did, it's to show how otherworldly at the rate that Rodgers throws interceptions versus NFL really all-time historic players, and really the only thing setting Rodgers back from an all-time standpoint is, of course, rings. And of course, there's more than goes into it than just a quarterback, as we saw with Matt Stafford and the Rams when he had a team around him, but unfortunately for Aaron, it has been a lot of disappointment in the month of January throughout his entire career. And as I record this, the verdict is out on his future, but for today, he is currently the number 1 ranked NFL quarterback. Now, to address some things, I did not include Deshaun Watson, though if he were in today's video, he would be between Herbert and Stafford, which would bump Kirk Cousins out of the top 10. Derek Carr and Kyler Murray were the next two that would be following after Kirk, so they were 11 and 12 or 11A, 11B, however you would prefer that, and I did want to address that before we ended the top 10 quarterback rankings. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Let me know in the comments what you think, whether you agree, disagree, where you agree and disagree, and until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.